Play the video on the line acknowledgement.
Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing. Let me share with. Okay, let me know if you guys are seeing, please.
Yes.
Okay.
What is land acknowledgement?
Those of us that are continuing our oral history are blessed. What we shared, that was told from way back. Many, many years ago, my great uncle asked my grandfather, "How long have we been here?" He relayed a story about carrying a way of life as Nichitapi, the backward speaking people. The prairie region was dominated by the prairie grizzly bear. The prairie grizzly bear said, "You have to make treaty with everything in this prairie land. The animals, the birds, the fish, the water, the hills, the rocks. They all live in beings." He said, "I will move to the southern region." And so they became Sokichitapi, the people of the plains, of the open country. We were part of the ecosystem. We were not masters of it. The buffalo and the moose and the elk and the antelope and the deer and the grass and the trees were more than us.
We were raised to believe that everything has a spirit and that everything around us is alive and has a purpose.
We praise Creator, Giver of life. We give
everything that we need is there.
and we're supposed to honor the Creator with all our life, and we're supposed to look after the gift of the land that He gave us to live on.
For us, the land tells us the story. I mean, it's just story after story. Oh, this happened here, this happened here, this happened over here.
Mukins, just the story is not be the old man standing with his bow and his elbows on this side.
That was how
But it's good that we have subtitles so we can look around.
We didn't belong anywhere. In Treaty 7 territory, I'm accepted. I'm something, and I'm with my people.
because you're in the territory of your ancestors. No, this is home, something that we pass on to our children and to our grandchildren.
This land has to be acknowledged. The people that took care of this land for a long time have to be acknowledged. At least find the truth about us.
I'm a residential school survivor, but it's up to me to have courage and go back and learn the ways of my people. The elders will say, I pray that the young people will not forget the Creator. the true acknowledgement of the land.
Different tools, and he brings all these automation, Python, and all these technologies. And he's in charge of the research and development very heavily in our company. So without further ado, Felipe, I'll let you take it from here.
Okay. Okay, well, thank you so much. I just want to confirm in the chat if the audio is working properly. It is the audio cut off once in a while. Okay. Okay, let us know in the chat if the audio stops working or it's not working at all. So I'm gonna start sharing my screen, and again I'm gonna ask you guys confirmation about when you are seeing my screen. So let me share on here. Hold on. Okay, can you confirm that you guys are seeing my screen? It has a simulation. Uh, you can see like a platform. Yes. Okay. Amazing. So let me start. Okay, so this is pretty much to share what we develop on Infinity. So I'm gonna share with you guys about the problem that we actually saw here. So imagine that you have this situation. This is a offshore platform that actually has a pipe carrying a hot acidic fluid full of dissolved gases. So over months, over years, the inside of that pipe is slowly being eaten away by the chemical reaction that we all are familiar with in these kind of platforms. So the wall of that pipe, it actually comes thinner and thinner and thinner, and at some point any of the pipes, any of the assets that we're seeing here are going to fail. So a leak, a rupture, or anything that is related to an unplanned shutdown that might cost millions of dollars and potentially puts a lot of people in risk. So this is mainly in big words, what is the issue that we assess pretty much every day to avoid this risk, to have the best shape situation into the plant, and to confirm that actually those things that we are doing are going properly. So to put everyone in context, we have this amine treating unit. So it's the system that removes CO2 and H2S from natural gas refinery streams. So these systems are among the most vulnerable ones because they handle a crazy stuff. Is a cocktail of aggressive chemicals, carbon dioxide, hydrogen sulfide, organic acids, heat stable salts, and high temperature plus high pressure as well, including also the harsh or the rude environment that we have overseas, including the ocean, what we have, the spills, anything that is related to the ambient as well, we include it into our segment. So I'm gonna just make a quick tour into the what we have done. This is corrosion intelligence. Everything is made in house, as all the tools that we made from here. So research and development has been super included into this. We actually, before I show you an equation, so I want to explain what is the philosophy or what governs this tool that we developed. So we call this approach physics first. Everyone is wondering what is physics first. That is that every prediction, every calculation, every number that we use, besides the ones that are for design for sure, but everything related to the risk, the assessment, corrosion rate, anything like that, comes from a published scientific equation. It's not any random black box, so anything comes from an equation. Is not from a pattern learned from historical data, so it's not pure machine learning. It is physics informed neural networks that divides into physics informed machine learning. So that's two different things. So think of that in this way. Data driven model that is most of the models that we have on the market right now is like predicting the weather for looking what happened on similar looking days. So today is snowing, all the April 23rd will be snowing in Cali. That's an example of the data driven models that is predicting based on the data that they have into a certain pattern. In our approach, a physics first model is like running the actual atmospheric equation, including pressure, temperature, humidity, wind, and forward that in time based also on the actual physics and chemical reactions that we have. So both approach for sure can give you a number, but only one follows the physics laws that we have in the environment, and also tells you why the model is working. So we don't claim that this is 100% physics because that phrase collapses under the reviews, because every corrosion equation, every differential equation, everything that is modeling to all the market, not only for corrosion, but any related physical equation, differential equation in the literature has some empirical tuning in it. So we need to document any of these gaps, approximations, and we call these matices in Spanish. So this is a Spanish word that means that nuances of shades or differences between the approaches. So there are five of them, and each one comes with a specific reference of a scientific paper that will close the gap. We choose radical transparency because that's what earns the trust, actually, from you guys, from engineers, from regulators, and from anyone that is related to the science and corrosion approach that we are sharing on here. So I already put you guys in context for what we saw here. Let's bring into the tool on here. So this is a 3D simulation again from a platform located in Southeast Asia, ultrasound platform. We name it Juliet, it's not the actual name of the platform. So synthetic data on there. Thank you for our client to allow us to use the data to train our models without violating any of the agreements that we have right now. So we can navigate into the platform, we can move around, we can see the condition, we can see the pillars, we can see how many assets we have, we can go close on here, and for sure we can bring the information. So on this left part, we have the statical data, the design, the operating data that is supposed to have everything the same: temperature, pressure, pH, CO2. This is taken from real time data, the values from the pressure, temperature from the sensors. Also the chlorides, what is the design material, the grade, the type, the hardness, the if it's post-well heat treatment or not, the diameter of it, the nominal, that is important, and also the code that was take that information. So I'm gonna bring the codes into a following part, but right now we have that any vessel that we select, any pipe that we select, it has the code related that we take the information. If it's vessel, if it's pipe, we can see the information here, and they ask me B313 related to that pipe. So we built 4 corrosion engines. So you're wondering what is those 4 corrosion engines on here. We take 4 published corrosion equations, each handle different type of chemical attacks. Think of them as 4 specialists on a medical team for sure. So each one is an expert in different disease, and the system calls the right specialist based on what the patient needs. So any of us is super expert in any field related on here. So we have reliability that is expert on that field, corrosion, material, design, rotative professional. So everyone is different, we have different skills, but together as a team, we build the best approach possible that's have bringing the specialist, the appropriate specialist to the need that we have. So to put you in context, we use 4 equations. The Ward-Williams, that's for specifically CO2 attack. Srinivas K, that's for H2S attacks. Norsok M506, that's for flow velocity effects. And Dupart plus Rooney, that's for amine degradation, that it's the main source that we have here. So let me share on here. So we have, again, on the right part, we're gonna now jump into the right part. I'm gonna just go around and show you a little bit closer. We have some of the tanks on here. So this amine inlet absorber, this is a pipe. We can click in whatever asset we want to check, and we have the information changed based on that related asset. So five windows on here, asset, that's pretty much mechanical integrity. What are the equations we use for TMIN? For RL, that all is based on standards from API, from ASME. We use apps as well for as a reference, and everything is calculated on that way. So we have that mechanical integrity in here. We have the risk that we are supposed to have, and we can have a forecast. This forecast shows how it's gonna be the life of the equipment. We have a threshold of 25 years at max. That's for clearing here. So if we click on the forecast, we know now in a graphical way that this equipment is not going to fail between those 10 years. So it's going down for sure, but it's not failing. So that's first window that we have here. Let's jump into the funny part. So physics. We have again the models that the we take the engines that we have from the equations. We have the also the standards that we follow every day for each of the assessments, and we bring that into one calculated part that is actually the equations, what the equation resolve. That's the number at our model or physics informed machine learning, what the model learns from the data and apply the physics that we input into the model, and how's that relations between them. So we can rerun the physics on here, and we saw what's the physics engine corrosion rate that is showing us the dominant damage mechanism, in this case CO2 corrosion. What are the, besides the dominant damage mechanism, um, we have the applicable damage mechanism that are related for that. So MIC, corrosion under isolation, also with H2S cracking, sulfide stress cracking, so anything related to that, and amine stress corrosion cracking. We have on here what are the paths that we follow to bring this damage mechanism between the asset that we're selecting right. If it's okay for fitness of, for service, they remain in life. Remember, we have a threshold for 25 years and max. And the next inspection that will be recommended in which amount of time, which method, and what are the windows for that. So cracking risk, for sure, we have that sulfide stress corrosion moderate. We have all the threshold here. So I'm not going to deep down super deeply into this part because it will be more than 30 minutes that we have. So just mention that we take the physics, also the equations. I'm gonna show you in a little bit what are the equations used and how's the result for that. So on here, we have the neural network versus the physics. If we run the physics informed neural network, we have an agreement of 96.4%. So what this number means is actually the physics informed machine learning learn the physics well, besides the mechanistic model. So the mechanism model is the results from the equation that is linear, basically. We are not following any external or chemical into this equation, just following that equation. And or neural network based on the physics informed that we tell the differential equations, all the chemistry, electrochemistry, physics laws that we input into here, the value is pretty much closer. So it's a success, the agreement into these both two models that we have. On here we have the physics informed loss functions. I'm not gonna dive into that. We use the six different equations for high temperature, high corrosion rate, more H2S. If it's higher the corrosion rate, higher the velocity, higher the corrosion rate. So differential equation works in one input, one variable change, what affects the other variable in terms of increasing, decreasing. So if we have more H2S, we will have more corrosion rate. If we have higher velocity, we will have higher corrosion rate into different damage mechanisms, just to clarify into that. So two independent mathematical frameworks that can compare itself on the same corrosion rate results as we saw on previous here. So on this, we include some kind of improvements about what drives the corrosion. We call that this as a sweep, changes into the operation that all can have. On here, for example, we have inhibitor efficiency, the temperature, the pH, the H2S pressure, and flow velocity. We only select these five. So I'm gonna put temperature on here. We have the ranges. So near the current value is a small range, then standard range, it increments the range of the graph, and then full physical range, we will give you a big chunk of information about what changed or what didn't change. So I'm gonna click on run, and we have this sweet spot on here. So temperature, it mentioned and it show us the spot that we have right now and what will be the best optimizing temperature to operate the asset that we're selecting. In terms of reducing corrosion rate, knowing all the physical information and also the corrosion rate that might affect the asset. So two competing effects, we have the Arrhenius kinetic increasing the reaction with the temperature, but above 60 degrees, we have this protective film that can protect the suppressing, let's say suppressing the corrosion. So the peak sweet spot will be between 55 and 65. So right now we are operating maybe not at the best way possible to avoid the corrosion rate. That's the operation that we have, but I'm gonna dig down into this in a little bit. So this is the first one. The second about the physics. And here we taking care API 581, API 579, 510, 570, and 583. That's for each of the models that we include on here. So 581, RBI risk-based inspection, we take the latest information that we have. We calculate then the probability of failure of the asset. So again, based on the API 581, how close we need to inspect, what will be the window to inspection, in this case 10 years, damage factor into it. This is prior applying the APIs. And what's the age ratio of that? Fitness for service is if it's acceptable for that fitness for service or not, including all the values, allowable pressure, remaining life, remaining strength. I mentioned that we have a threshold of 25 years. So right now we know the actual remaining life of the asset that will be a final 50 years. And on here, next interval inspection, next external inspection if that applies, how many CMS we recommend to put in, how what are the MD methods that we are recommended also, if this is UT, if we have internal visual inspection, dye penetrant, so depending of the needs of the asset. And corrosion under isolation for sure. So I'm gonna go back a little bit and show you on here. We have this super agreement between the machine, the physical informed neural network and the mechanistic model. But sometimes we might have a different type of agreement. This model was developed only for carbon steel, not for stainless steel. That's our first clarification. Second, we always will have discrepancies between the operating conditions, design conditions, some peaks into the operation. So I'm gonna click into an asset that actually does not have the best agreement. So this is super important because if the mechanistic models tell you something, the physics informed neural network is not going to lie about the corrosion rate. It tells you right away the corrosion rate that you calculate between the equations and the neural network are not on the best agreement. We have only 40% of it. And remember that I told you this about the RNA kinetic, that we have this protected field. So this curve that you can see on here, this normal distribution that you can see on here, it actually comes from the electrochemistry differential equations, and they're the Arrhenius that we apply in here. But for an asset that we don't have that compelling information between the physics informed machine learning and the calculating mechanical equations, we don't have the curve. So that tells you that the linear curves are not following all the physics laws. It's only going as a logical way to see if the temperature increases. It doesn't matter that if we have this protected layer between this temperature creating because of the electrochemistry reaction inside the pipe. No, it just tells you increasing the temperature, increasing the corrosion rate. So no sweet spot to reducing or increasing the corrosion rate between the range of the temperature operation. So this is a pretty interesting part for including the best assets that we have to include, the ones that we have 90-95% of similar calculation, and also these ones that are not on the best compelling information, but all the tools that we included on here shows you then that these mechanical features are only in a linear way, and we cannot include also the electrochemicals situations that we might have inside of that. So let's jump into these three scenarios that we have in here. I'm gonna make a pause just to confirm if the screen is still sharing good, sounds is coming good, or any weird thing happening, just to confirm. Let me see on the chat. We're gonna solve those questions at the end of the session, so just as a confirmation. Let me. Okay, okay. Thank you so much for confirming. So okay, so let's jump into these scenarios. So this is also a different feature that we include into this model because um, on here we can compare operating scenarios. So what happened to the corrosion rate if the operating conditions change? This happens all the time. So let me compare the scenarios on here. So we have, again, we saw on the previous sweep, what are the changes? We have on here inhibitor, pH, high velocity, or high temperature. So what happened if we have high corrosion inhibitor? For sure the corrosion rate is gonna go down, but the question always is by how much, by how percentage, how effective is our inhibitor, it is effective or not effective. So we compare between the baseline corrosion rate, and we can see here if we increase the inhibitor, we have the pH that is stable into this, and low pH for offset conditions can increase the corrosion rate. But the worst scenario on this asset we select will be high velocity, 213% increasing the corrosion rate. So it's a pretty cool also feature that we can calculate how the asset is gonna behave between different conditions. Let's jump into the following one. So find optimal conditions. Remember, I told you before that we have, if we increase in the temperature about the Arrhenius, we have that sweet spot that actually decrease the corrosion rate, and we can increase the temperature without affecting the acid. So if we apply that logic for all the sweep conditions, pH, temperature, velocity, it's calculated and we can, this is again theoretical, not apply for, um, not applicable for an actual, is not from real world taking information. We calculate this again based on physical forms and the equations that I mentioned you before. We can reduce that corrosion rate by increasing the inhibitor efficiency, maintaining the flow velocity, and don't go over or under that pH acidity that we have. So we have the current and we can find the optimal way including those acids. And then we have here on at the end the variable importance rating. We can play with this sample size. So I put this as a test because in statistical words, in real words, if we increase the sample, we minimize the variability of the data. So we can check that on here. So temperature is the most impactful variable by 80% for corrosion variance on 256 sample sizes. But what happens if we increase it? It's gonna take a while, and then the real data is coming up. So be, if more data, more simulations are done on the tool and are included on here, we can actually see what will be the real condition, the real affecting data, that in this case, as a confirmation, will be the pH. So that's an important lesson for everybody, that we can have a sample that is too small, that actually is not showing what is the most impactful variable driving the corrosion rate in our facility. So print this part. And as an end, we have a quick dashboard. So dashboard show us on here in terms of a matrix how many assets we have in high risk, medium risk, low risk, average corrosion rate per any of the assets that we have. If we have what's the worst asset, the minimum remaining life for the assets, so zero point 0.7 years, super close. 20 of the 50 are critical, and the average wall loss between all the assets. Here is just an index of following the names of what are the worst assets. So corrosion rate is higher on these ones. We have pipes, we have the regenerator, we have the, let me go down just to show you here. We have the tank, we have the coolidamine into a pipe that is in low risk. So depending on the location of the asset, the calculation that we need, and everything related between that, it will show you here. This information uh, between the matrix, the real-time information that I give you before on here, for the client, specific client that we take on Southeast Asia, is connected to real-time operation systems. In this case, is PyVision specifically, that shows you the real-time operation. In for this demo, we don't have the connection because that data is sensitive between the client. However, it is connected on the client's end to the real-time operating, the APM connection that they have, the asset protecting APM managed, and also the real-time asset data that they have on the database, that the the information has. So anytime that, for example, they replace this valve, this pipe, we will have that uploaded into the model instead of just going in the download the data, change the information, upload into the model, rerun the model, retrain the model. So it will take and it will upload that information in an easiest way to interact between the client database information and what the model is actually showing you guys. So that's pretty much on here. I'm gonna just give you a quick round. Uh, we This is in a develop phase. The 3D models are not for sure super accurate on 3D laser analysis, no. But we have the most important part, that is see what is the facility doing, how's the facility doing, what is the risk of the facility right now, what is the driving corrosion rate that it has per asset, how we can inspect it. So we have at least five, six, or seven systems, including Excel, including Pi, including APM, including ECMS or whatever asset management software you guys use, including into just one view that can check the information, not jumping into um, different models or different softwares that we have. Then six or seven opening software between that. This also, so we designed this at first to make just for integrity, but then we start to bring more people into the table. So rotating equipment, MOC equipment, integrity, reliability, corrosion are now involved into this project, because for everyone in the table is actually super useful to have the information, to have what's the management of change between a pipe that change because of failing, because they are replacing, they're changing material, they're changing metallurgy, they're reusing that pipe for making a bypass or anything like that. It's pretty cool to have that previous data information, the management of change that can go related into that, and we can go into bring more risk-based analysis, RBIs, HACCPs, you name it. So it's not just sticking to have corrosion, and this is only a model for corrosion and that's it. No, it brings us a solution for multiple equipments, multiple also teams, different teams that can have all the information they require just in one click, applying the physics into it and correlating the information with the database that they have using the physics engine and the physics in for machine learning that we develop and we train on house. Okay, that's pretty much what I have to share with you guys. Let me go into the questions. So I'm gonna stop sharing right now. Uh, I'm gonna share then my window with Monica. Hold on. Give me a moment. Okay. Just
Okay, so I
just
have
just
been
confirm.
answering the just put them there, and this is the time that we do the interaction. As well as we have come.
They can hear you. Uh, okay. Mm, 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 mm. Let me try again. Okay, how about now?
No.
Okay. Okay. Well, I think that Monica is not able.
Can you guys hear me?
We heard say no. Okay.
Okay. In the chat, they say that yes.
Okay. Thank you, guys. They can hear you now.
Okay. Sorry, there is a little delay in the sound. Anyway, I just wanted to thank you all for being here. Thank you, Felipe. It was very.
They can hear you now. You can go.
I think we'll just do the raffle at this time. If there are more questions, just put them in the chat, and then we can just start. Let's do the raffle. So let's put everyone's names on the chat, and then we will do the raffle of the book. Okay, seems like you guys are shy, and I just want to remind the name of the book is A Pathological Mini Atlas of Microbiologically Influenced Corrosion, so MIC, and Deterioration, and its case studies. It's a really good book. Dr. Reza was a guest on the Material Business podcast. If you haven't watched that episode, go and see it. It's super interesting. He has a wealth of experience. He has worked in this field for many, 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 many decades. And he was kind enough to donate the book. And so if we don't have anyone else interested in get it, I think Nicole is the winner. Congratulations. Thank you for being with us today. And if you want to learn more about any of the things that we are developing, just get in contact. You have all our support. We are just a ring away.
Jesse.
Oh,
Wow.
Jesse. Okay, come on, you guys, put your name on.
Let's give you guys 2 minutes. So anyone that is interested to winning the book is not charged. You will get the book on your house, on your location, no problem. Just as a matter of putting your name on here, we get a quick raffle in a website that is sharing a roulette, and that will be it. So easy money. Let you guys. I'm gonna count a couple of minutes.
All girls. Oh my God, this is amazing. Go girls. Where are the guys? Come on, guys.
Okay, 1 minute remaining. Just put your name if you want to get into the roulette, the raffle, free book.
Whoever wants it or wins it, sorry, needs to contact us after this transmission so we can get it. Okay, Felipe is gonna make the roulette. That's it. Go girls. And I was thinking, no girls wanted to go into corrosion. This is proving me wrong. Thank you, thank you.
All right, then time's up. So I'm gonna add the names we have right now. Just let me confirm on the chat. We have, let me check, Nicole, we have Jesse, uh, Diana, and Svetlana. There you go. So book between four of you guys. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen with Monica and sharing my screen with the raffle. Let me share here. Okay, just as a confirmation, I'm not starting yet. Can you guys see my screen correctly? There you go. Okay, we have confirmation. So I'm gonna go ahead and there you go. Nicole's the winner.
Amazing. Nicole will get in contact with us. You won a fantastic book. I hope you use it wisely. It's really, really good. And thank you for everyone that connected, everyone that is looking at this transmission afterwards. Next time you'll be live and then you can win the book. Remember, corrosion doesn't sleep, like my wonderful friend Carlos Arroyave says. So this is why we have this wonderful community. We are trying to share knowledge. We are trying to make this industry better. And then thank you, every one of you, for being with us. See you.
Thank you so much, guys. Just as a quick review here, we are going to share an email so Nicole can contact us. I'm gonna put the email on the chat. Okay, well, guys, that will be it for now. Thank you for attending. Thank you for seeing the transmission. And congrats to Nicole. Have a wonderful day.